All right, hey everybody. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about airbrushing cakes, compressors. Um, Started doing this and wanted to give everybody some tips. You know, if you're at home and you would like to airbrush maybe your cakes or your fondant, but you're not too sure on what to get, just wanted to give you a couple of tips that have worked for me. And you know, I'm not a professional, just started dabbling with this a little bit, and I really enjoy it for painting fondant or cakes or cookies. You really get a really nice finish with the airbrush. So you know, I went out and got one. The first one that I got was at a cake store, and I spent over $100, and it ended up breaking down. So it looked just like this one and it ended up breaking down. The cake store didn't have like a warranty or return policy on those. So I ended up going to my local hardware store, which is Harbor Freight here in California. And they had one for like about $70, which is this one. They had one for $70. And they even had a warranty that I was able to pay for. So if anything happens to it, like a malfunction, then you know they'll replace it. And I thought that was awesome. You know, so you could either look online. I've seen a lot of people sell them online with all the colors, the airbrush colors. And if you don't necessarily need all of that and you want to get it a little bit for a little bit of a less price, you know, you can always look at your local hardware store, and as long as you get like this something small like this, it works just great. Also, you'll need to get a airbrush gun. Sometimes they come with one. Sometimes you have to buy a separate one. But they shouldn't be too much if you also look around. I think I got this one with my last, I think I got this one with the last one that I got at the cake store, but the hardware store also had some like these. So far I found that this one is the best one for myself for getting a good finish on my cookies or fondant, you know, stuff that I want to make. So I have used this type of airbrush, and I just felt that it was very coarse and very grainy, the finish that it left on my fondant, so I didn't like it too much. Then I tried this one too. Same thing, I just felt like the finish wasn't the greatest on that it left, so then I really like this one the best so far, and it's worked for me. What I do is I do have a couple of airbrush colors from like Americolor or Chef Master, but if I don't have the color I need and I do have like a food coloring, then I just kind of make a little mix and, you know, thin it out a little bit so that I can use my food coloring for painting whatever it is that I need to paint. So this again is a mini compressor. It doesn't come with the gauge. Some of them come with the gauge where you can release pressure or adjust it. I tend to do it down here. I'm not sure if that's what it's for, but that's how I do it. I'll show you guys in a minute. And also I got a spray booth to prevent overspray. I had got one from Amazon, and if you're looking for one that's small and not too expensive and you're not doing a lot of heavy stuff, then you could get one at Amazon. I think they're like 70 to 80 bucks, and it really helps to prevent, especially if you're painting like red or bright colors, you know, to get like around your house on your furniture or anything like that, or you're all over your kitchen. You want to keep it clean. Definitely get a spray booth for overspray. I was tending to spray a little bit more and heavier colors, so I got one from the Cake Safe store, and it's been amazing. I'm going to show it to you guys in just a minute, and then I'll show you guys how I thin out my gel food coloring to paint on fondant. And again, this I've been painting like on fondant or icing, and I haven't painted on chocolate because I believe, I haven't tried it, but I believe you have to use like cocoa butter to paint on chocolate. So I haven't done that. I've only painted, you know, like on fondant and cookies, but I think, you know, this is an amazing tool if you want to get a great finish. Alright, so this is the spray booth that I'm currently using. It is from the Cake Safe store. It was a great investment. I think it was like 200 and something, but it was a great investment because, as you can see, my filter has red on it because I've been painting with like reds and bright colors, and since I, you know, do this for fun at home, well, I don't want to get like red all over my furniture or my kitchen, so this really helps take away all of the overspray, and which you think is not there, but it really is. I had a couple of incidences before I had my spray booth where, you know, I found out that, you know, overspray really does happen, and I had, you know, color around my house. But before this one, I had got this one right here. Let me show it to you guys. This one, I don't know if you can see that great. Let me push it back in here. I had got this one, and it is from Amazon. I think it was only anywhere from $70 to $80. You can see right here how it opens up. You can see how it opens up and it becomes a spray booth. It's very portable, and it is very portable, as well as it just, you know, works works for like smaller stuff. If you're not doing too much heavy stuff, then it's perfect. So if I'm going to spray, today I'm just going to spray like a fondant decoration. I don't have a cake to spray, but when I do, or cookies, when I do, I'll post something to show you guys. But just to give you a little bit of an idea, if I'm going to spray something like this, it's a mermaid tail made out of fondant. I will normally pre-color it already because I want the bottom to be blue. Sometimes I will do an ombre and do a darker blue on the top or the bottom with the same food coloring that I added to this. That way it really matches well. Or like today I'm going to do it purple just to show you, you know, what you can do with the spray gun. So I'm going to put it right here. Make sure you have something that's going to catch the spray, overspray. I will be using this Americolor, and it's not food, I mean it is food coloring, it's not the airbrush color. But I'm going to thin it out in order to, you know, put it in my airbrush machine, in the airbrush gun. And I'll be using just like regular, you know, clear imitation vanilla extract. Other things you can get, which I'll finish it off with, is, you know, this Americolor. This is for, specifically for airbrush, because it says Amerimist here. So if you're looking for specific airbrush colors, food coloring, look for the ones that are Amerimist. This is Pearl Sheen. It gives it a nice little shimmer. This is the other ones I was talking about, Chef Master. And these are specifically, you can see there, it says for airbrush. They also sell colors. I'm not going to use these today, but just to show you how to use regular food coloring. This is regular airbrush coloring. They don't have to be mixed. You can just use them the way that they are. They will not, should not clog up your machine. I will first, and I don't have exact measurements. It all depends on how bright you want the color. So I would pour some of this clear vanilla in here, you know, enough of this clear vanilla. And then I will get some of the gel coloring, and I've noticed that darker coloring for some reason get more clumped up, so you kind of have to strain it to get those clumps out. If you don't strain it, then what happens is it clumps up and gets clogged in your machine. So I don't know if you can quite see, not that much. Let's see. I'm gonna mix it. I'm gonna just show you guys right now in a minute what it looks like. I'm gonna mix this, try to mix it as well as you can. It does tend to clump up. I don't know why this purple clumps up. have a lot of napkins handy. Okay. This is what it looks like, and as you can see a little bit in the back how there's like little spots, it clumps up. It clumps up, and you can kind of see in the bottom that it's thick. So what I do is I put it through a strainer and take out all the clumps, and then I just use a liquid. I have a little bowl that I'm going to be using. I can put a strainer like this, or actually use a bigger bowl, because it seems like it's not fitting that great. So I will just pour this through, and any clumps stay behind, or they stay in the strainer. You can see all those clumps. That's what would be clumping up our machine. So we remove all the clumps. You know, sometimes this doesn't happen. I've mixed a couple colors and it doesn't clump up, but for some reason the darker colors tend to clump up, and now you will see that there's not too much clumpiness. And if you want to thin it out, you can always add a little bit of more clear vanilla extract. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my machines. They do get a little bit loud, and I mean, I'll just kind of show you how the machine works, how I would paint that item. I'll give a little bit of like an ombre type of look, and you know, so don't mind the noise. We're gonna go ahead and turn these on. If I feel that my gun is spraying, the pressure is too strong, so you gotta push. If the pressure is too strong, I don't have anything in there yet, then I can always release a little bit of pressure here, because this one doesn't have a gauge, until I get the pressure that I need, as you can see there. Get the pressure that I need. Then I will just release it. You can see the needle moving. Let's say I want a lower PSI, then I just move the little air valve at the bottom that kind of releases pressure, and it gives me the amount of pressure I want. And you can see it's spraying less. You can hear that it's spraying less. If I close it up, you can see the needle move. Now I have a 60 PSI, and then you can hear the springs on that a lot louder. Okay, so I'm going to lower it a little bit because, don't need that much of a strong spray. Probably down to like a 30 is always a good PSI for spraying. So next, here's my airbrush gun, and I will use some of the mix that I made to pour in. Coloring mix. I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. If you don't have a little dropper, they do come with the airbrush guns on the kit. Go ahead and put that there. Alright. So normally what I would do is probably put it down a little bit. I'd probably lay it flat, but just so that you guys can see, what I will do is just kind of gently spray. And if you're not too sure actually right away how to use this, you can get a piece of parchment paper and just play with it and spray and see how the color is going to come out, spray and just kind of see how it works, how much you need to press. So what I'll do is go ahead and give it a light little spray just so that I can make it look ombre starting from here up. A light spray. And then since I want it darker on the top, I'll give it a darker spray. And then again, just at the top, focusing on the top. So really wherever you point your gun to, that's what's going to get sprayed. You can see it goes from darker to lighter, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of a sheen spray as soon as it's done drying, just to show you guys how it looks. So if you want to use a different color on your airbrush gun, you have to clear out whatever color was there. If you still have a lot of color on the inside here, then you could dump it out into the bowl you were using, and we're going to go ahead and dump it out here into this bowl. We're not going to use that anymore. You can use a napkin to kind of clean it out in here. That's what I'm going to do, and just to take out most of the excess. And then I'm going to add a little bit of clear vanilla, and you could do this when you're cleaning your machine as well, or water, a little clear vanilla or water. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my airbrush machine on. And then you can get a napkin to spray whatever's left in your gun out, so that you just make sure that you take out all the color that was in there. As you can see, there's purple. I'm going to keep spraying. I'm going to clear out the purple. I can get another napkin to spray on. Try to get most of that purple out. You know, see if it'll come out. Give this a little bit of a shake here, and I am going to spray again and see if most of the color, most of the purple is out of my airbrush gun. You can see it's not spraying really purple anymore, so that's good. It's clean, and now I have my sheen color in there, and I can spray my mermaid tail. Alright, so then now what I would do is just give it a quick little spray with this. See, it gives it a nice little shine. Gives it a really, really nice little shine. And if you have like sprinkles or anything like that, you can add sprinkles to it as well. So you can use this disco dust. Here it is again with better lighting, and you can see the nice finish that it has with the airbrush gun. And if you add the sparkles while your color is still a little bit wet, then you know it really adds a nice little touch to it. Basically, this, you could do this on any fondant, even in a cake, whether you're using a stencil or anything like that, or just, you know, freehanding. This is what it would look like. Alright, so lastly, you need to make sure you clean your airbrush gun when you are done using it, because if your food coloring gets stuck in there and dried out, it will mess up your airflow. It will kind of get crusted in there, and it's harder to clean later on. And what will happen is that when you want to use it, you know, it'll be clogged up, or your flow will not come out as nice. So what you're gonna do is, like I showed you earlier, dump out any extra paint that was in here. And then I like to wipe it with the napkin. Make sure you wipe off any extra paint. It's a little damp napkin. Then you can add some water. I would add some water to it. And to get a napkin again, I would get a napkin and spray anything that might have been in there with the napkin. Make sure that it sprays good. Make sure there's no color once you're done. Also, to clean the inside of it, just get a little extra water. I didn't put enough. To clean the inside in here, which you could do, and to clear out your nozzle, is press the nozzle against your hand firmly and then turn it on. It's gonna bubble on the inside. And what that's gonna do is take out any paint that's stuck in here. That also works if you're painting and it seems like it's not coming out. It might be that your nozzle is clogged in here with maybe something thick. You can do the same technique to unclog your airbrush machine. Press it against your hand and turn it on. Make sure it's not too full or it will come out. But you can see or hear that it's making bubbles. Okay. Again, continue to spray till no more color comes out onto your napkin. Once you've done that, I like to just take off any water that was there and continue to spray so no more water comes out of your airbrush. Again, I like to reverse and make sure the air cleans the inside, dries the inside of my airbrush. So now it's dried on the outside, dried on the inside. Also, what I like to do is to take off this front piece by screwing it off and using a little napkin to clean the inside. So they sell brushes, or you can get a little damp napkin, stick it in, take off any extra paint that might be stuck in there. There is also another little piece you can take off here, and you clean that with the napkin. Also, you clean this with the napkin. Clean your nozzle. Make sure it's clean. One of the last things I like to do every now and then is take this back piece off. I don't do this often, but every now and again I do this, and I remove this screw here. You take the needle out, and sometimes you can see paint on there. Right now I can see blue. So what I'm going to do is get a wet napkin and wipe it off. Anytime the paint gets stuck in there on this little needle, it will just make it hard for it to move back and forth and for the airflow to come through. Let's see if I can get this back in there. Put this back in there. Make sure it comes through. There's like a hole in here connecting this. Make sure it goes through. You can tell because, you know, you'll see the needle move. Then you screw this back on. Screw this back piece back on. Now our airbrush gun is clean, ready to use for the next time. You know, like to wipe it off, make sure it's completely clean. We put this back on. Be careful with that needle. It's super sharp. You don't want to cut yourself or poke yourself with that. Put this on. Now it's clean and ready to use. Lastly, don't forget to clean the little cap. Sometimes paint gets stuck in there. Again, with the wet napkin, I like to clean it. Then it's clean, ready to use. Have any questions? Let me know. Hopefully this video helps you guys out there at home, you know, trying to figure out how to airbrush. These were things that I had to figure out. So hopefully it is helpful to somebody else. And if I paint anything else with the airbrush, then I will be sure to video it so I can show you guys, you know, what other kinds of things you can do with the airbrush. So everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next time.